Hi guys, and welcome to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. I really do appreciate it so very much. Welcome, my name is Aiden. I'm so happy that you're here. I feel a little silly recording this video because I, for some reason, forgot to record the August version of this, and I'm in the process of editing it still. So I'm filming my September version of this before I've put up my August version. I'm a little behind. There's going to be like a backup at some point. But I wanted to talk to you about the palettes that I wore in the month of September. I can't believe we're already in the middle of October at this point. It just seems crazy to me. Anyway, I'm going to go over the 12 palettes that I wore, give you my thoughts on them. I wore them more than once, obviously, since I only had 12. And I wanted to give you my thoughts and impressions, let you know which ones I'm decluttering. Originally, I was only going to do like 8 or 9 palettes. And then I rearranged a little bit because I wasn't too happy with the ones that I had planned out. So I have those. I experimented a little bit because I was planning to go to FanX Comic Convention in Salt Lake City. And I knew that I was going to get photos taken. And I wanted some eyeshadow palettes that I really liked that I knew were going to last. And I probably shouldn't have experimented the way that I was planning to. Anyway, it all worked out. I wanted to talk to you about those. Before I do though, don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't done so already. And let me know if you've tried any of these palettes and if there's anything from these brands that you recommend more than what I got, because I was a little disappointed with some of these, not gonna lie. Since I have so many of them, I'm only going to do 4 shades like I have been doing more recently, instead of the 4 for 4. Like, you know, if I'm doing 4 for 4, I'm not going through as many palettes, and that's okay. But with this, like, there's a lot of palettes, and if I swatch all of them, it's going to take a long time. Anyway, in last place, we're going to go from least favorite to favorite. We have, I had to check my order for a second because for a second I thought I put them in the wrong order. Anyway, in last place, we have this Milani. Ooh, that is very shiny. And it is the Pure Passion. Well, let's look on the back. It's Milani Pure Passion. And, yeah, not a fan of this palette. Love the colors. Like, the colors look awesome. They look like just what I would want in a palette. And I put some shades are better. They clump. They it performed terribly. It looked awful. Did I add anything else? No, I guess I didn't. So some of them, the shimmers, just, I don't know what was going on with them. I was really disappointed. The mattes were okay, but the shimmers just were truly awful. I'm going to swatch some of them. Like, this one is just crumbling here. This one down here in the corner. That one was terrible. I didn't much like the one next to it either. They're just really flaky, and they don't stay on your eyes. They didn't go on very nicely either. I didn't try this one right here. I guess we could swatch that one and see how it feels. A little bit better, but not great at all. And then we'll swatch one of the mattes. This one felt a little dry. So that's what it looks like. It doesn't look too bad unless you get up close and you can see the texture. I know it's going to change the shade, but can you see how it just is kind of patchy and it's clumping in places? Same with this one. And as the day wore on, so that's what they look like. We'll try to blend them out. So there they are blended out. As the day went on, they just kind of, well, one, trying to apply them to the eyes with a brush was awful because these are the type that you really have to like work in, and you need, I would say, a large area, because if you're trying to do any detail work with these shimmers, they don't work, which is really frustrating because usually I'm not going to be doing like all over my eyes, and that's how I feel like they would have performed the best. But just trying to like put them on with a little brush or just dab them on my eye and then blend out, it wasn't working for me at all. The matte looks okay. It's a little patchy. I don't know if you're going to be able to see that. I'm trying to get you up closer to see the textures, even though it changes the shades, which is oh so fun. Just really disappointed in this one. I might see if somebody wants to experiment with it, franken it. You know, I have my friend Patricia has been doing frankening, and maybe somebody closer to home wants to do that. But Would not recommend, was not good, was not the quality of the other Milani eyeshadows. Like, I have a lot of Milanis in here, and I was shocked at how bad this one was in comparison. In 11th place is an LA Girl palette. I was so excited when these came out because they kind of reminded me of the Huda palettes, and I just liked the layout. I liked how many shimmers were in these, and they just seemed really fun. I don't love the names of this one. This is they're the Keep It Playful line, and this is Foreplay. Like, I don't know, I'm kind of sick of makeup being sexualized. Just weird. Anyway, this one creased like crazy, and I don't know if it was, like, I was wearing the same eye primer. I had a different foundation on, but my eye primer was the same, so it shouldn't have affected it. But it was just like I had creases, like, just, you know, thinking back to the days before I used primer, the days before I knew kind of what good eyeshadow was, and you'd see like the people with the greasy eyes with the big like crease of makeup. That's what this did. So I supplemented it the second time and it worked slightly better, but this is another one I would definitely not recommend. I was so disenchanted with this palette, and I was like, oh man, I hope the other ones that I'm trying are better. So I'm doing that one in the middle. We'll do this one right under it. That's kind of a darker brown. And we'll do the darkest color, and then we'll do, I think I used this one. I think part of the reason why I supplemented it was the shimmers were all pretty dark. So these eyeshadows, the mattes, felt very soft as I put them on. I'm going to get close so you can kind of see the texture. They're very foiled, the shimmers, which can be good, but also like I don't know, I wanted a little bit more subtle of a look. I wanted something a little easier to play with, and this was not easy to play with at all. So that's what they look like when you get them swatched out. The performance on these first two were just absolutely terrible, and I was really disappointed, and really, like, if these were the first things that I got from either of these brands, I'd be so disappointed, and I probably wouldn't purchase anything else from them. Honestly, I don't know if I'd buy anything else from LA Girl in terms of eyeshadows, because I had an eyeshadow in last month's that was just not great, and these are more expensive, but I wasn't in love with any of these either. So far, I had this paper on my lap, and after every palette, as I'm swatching, I have fallout all over the paper. At least it's on the paper, not my pants, but it's crazy. The next one that I have in 10th place is from Milani. This is the Everyday Eyes palette, which makes me laugh because, yes, some of the shades look like they're more everyday shades, but you have a satin that's like the brow bone shade. You have a matte black. The other ones are shimmers. So if you're doing like a medium shade in your crease, it's going to be shimmer, and then you're going to put shimmer on your lid. It's a very shimmery look, which is not what I feel like is an everyday look. Normally, you know, I have a lot of mattes and then some shimmer on the lid, kind of like what I have today. I have a little shimmer on the lid, but the rest is matte. No, not this one. I do like this brow bone kind of satin shade there. There is what they look like when they're all swatched. I'm going to put up close so you can kind of see the texture. They worked fine. The reason I'm putting this lower is because of the name, and that there needs to be some other shade in there that's more user-friendly for like a brow, you know, like a crease or something, not a matte black and a matte, or like a satin brow bone and then everything else is shimmer. It's not a very versatile palette. It's not, in my opinion, an everyday palette. Performance worked much better on this one than on earlier ones. Let me kind of swatch out these so you can kind of see how they perform. I didn't dislike any of the shades. I wasn't in love with them. So there's no point, I feel, in keeping it. So this, like the other two, is going to be decluttered, but this one has better quality than the other two. So that's something to keep in mind. In 9th place is another LA Girl palette. It's another one of the Keep It Playful line. This is Downplay, and I feel like this had potential. I'm not a big smoky palette fan, so the color story wasn't really exactly my favorite, but I did feel like it could work. The first time I wore it, it was okay. I said it lasted well and it went on pretty good. The next time I did some other shades and there was so much fallout, and it could have been just I used a different brush, but there was so much fallout, and I felt like I had some fallout throughout the day as I went to from the shimmer, which was kind of disappointing. You know, you want something that is going to last and stay on and not have to worry about it, you know. So I'm going to do this. This one is so flaky, and you just go in and you feel like you barely touch it and it's going to like flake and make a mess everywhere, which is a little frustrating. So we're going to do these two mattes here, and then we're going to do these two shimmers there. So the mattes went on great. The problem is, if you can see the shimmer, how much fallout there is there. And I'm going to try to blend it in. It was not a subtle look, and it flakes up even as I'm trying to like blend it in. I was getting flakes popping up around it. I love the mattes in this one. The mattes in this palette are pretty darn good. So if you wanted just 4 or 5 mattes and you feel like the shimmers are okay, I feel like there are better performing shimmers out there and that are just a little easier to work with. I found that these were just a little difficult, and I didn't love the color story. So if you don't mind a lot of fallout, if you're the type that likes to do your eyes first and then the rest of your makeup, which is not how I can function, then this one is fine. But other than that, no, don't get this. I had to go wash my hands because I had like glitter all over my hands, and I was like, if I swatch it into anything else, it was just not coming off. So that's how much fallout there is on that last one. Okay, in 8th place, we have another LA girl. This is the final LA girl. This is Playmate. And there is what it looks like. Now, Playmate, you could have one of two things. You could think of the infamous bunnies, or you might think of Playmate, come out and play with me. That song, that was a very old-fashioned song. And I had a music box as a kid that played that. And so that's originally what I thought. And then I saw the other ones and I was like, maybe it's the bunny one. I don't know. Anyway, here we go. We got 4 of them swatched. I swatched this one and this one and this one and this one because I felt like I wanted to do another shimmer. That bottom shimmer is kind of pretty. It's more of a topper than anything else. It doesn't have a lot of punch. The mattes in this one are not as good as the mattes in the last one, the smoky kind of one. These are a little bit drier. They work better than the orange, but not quite as good as the brown or the smoky one, if that makes sense. So I said it worked okay. It lasted okay. I'm going to declutter this one too. It's okay. I feel like I have other similar color stories that I like so much better, and I don't see myself probably reaching for this one, and I'm decluttering the other two, so I kind of feel like I just want to get rid of all, which is a terrible reason to declutter. Like, it's like I want them all or nothing at all. I'm not in an O-Town song, but here we are. I've decided that I want them all or nothing at all, so we're decluttering that one as well. In 7th place, we have another Milani. This one's already got fallout. I can see it flaking off my hands as I sit here waiting to show you what it is and everything. So this is Gilded Desires. Once again, it just wants to be super shiny. Here, I can show you the back. So Gilded Desires, it has a couple of what are almost highlights and then some shimmers and some mattes. It's kind of a pretty color story. I don't mind the color story. It's very shiny right now. It's driving me nuts. The reflection off the light. Let's look at the colors. So I have 2 of the mattes. These are these 2 mattes. Let's see. We have this matte here and then this red, and then we have these 2 shimmers right here. That's what I swatched, and I can see flakes coming off as we go. Let me blend them in. Well, first, look at the texture. Do you see how patchy that one is? Like, it's kind of there, but it also is kind of odd, that top shade. And it blends away to almost nothing. So, as you can see, the shadows, the mattes, they're dry. They are not too pigmented. When you blend them out, they don't blend out very well. The the shimmers are okay. I kind of liked these. I wore these as eyeshadows too, and those were fine. What did I write down? Let me look at my. Okay, Fallout Galore, which definitely have that, and I didn't add anything else to that. You know what? I think I'm going to declutter this one as well. This was one that was my question, like, should I keep it, should I not? I think it's okay. I don't see myself reaching for this, and the frustrating, like how frustrating it is to make it work, I think I'm going to declutter it. So Gilded Desires is being decluttered as well. At this point, you're probably wondering if I'm ever going to keep any of these palettes, because so far I've decluttered 6 and we're now into the top 6. So just over that threshold is another Milani. This is the Bold Obsessions palette. We'll show you the back because it's a little easier to see when it's not being, you know, glaring with the lights. So this is what it looks like. There are quite a few shimmers in there. There's some mattes. There's like these kind of satiny shades, but they're like, I wouldn't call them a shimmer, but they're not a matte. It's weird. You'll see one swatched here in a second. So you do have 12 colors in here, and these are 4. I just swatched the 4 down the middle, so they're the exact opposite. This bottom one is kind of a shimmery, but not really a shimmer. It's a weird hybrid. I don't know how I would classify it. There is a minimal fallout with the actual shimmer shades. The mattes are not as dry as they were in the last palette, and they blend out a little bit better. So they have a little bit more of a presence with them. I said it was pretty and it worked well when I put it on. Yeah, so that's where I am. It works well. There's some pretty shades in here. I liked how they lasted and how they looked on the eyes. The problem is there's an awful lot of shades in here that I'm not a fan of and I'm never going to wear. So like, I'm probably not going to wear this taupey shade. The blue for sure not. I never reached for black. I have, you know, there's a few shades in here that are okay, but I don't see myself reaching for this much. And I think like I might have a friend who would actually enjoy this and get use out of it. So this one I think is good. If you like the color story, this is a good one. But for me personally, the color story just doesn't work too well. And even though this looks fine, I know I'm probably not going to reach for it. So I'm going to declutter it as well. But this is the first one that I would say is a good one to recommend. I mean, the Everyday Essentials was fine, or Everyday Looks, or whatever. What is it called? Everyday Eyes was okay, but again, it wasn't an everyday palette for me, so I felt like the name was misleading. Spoiler alert, I'm decluttering this palette, and you'll see as soon as I tell you what it is, why I'm decluttering it, if you know me at all. This is Milani Most Loved Mattes. We'll show the back again. So, reason why I'm decluttering this is it's all mattes. I don't do all matte looks. I don't love them. I want some shimmer in there. I love shimmer. And yes, I could supplement this with my Super Shock shadows, and I have a couple liquid shadows that are okay, that don't seem to cause me issues. But I don't see myself reaching for this, because while I really like my Too Faced Peachy Mattes, whatever that one's called, that one is great, but I really love all of those colors in there, and I think that's why I can deal with it being all matte. These can look pretty. I've said that they look pretty. It works surprisingly well, and it lasted well. I don't love it, so I don't see myself reaching for it. This is what it looks like. You got just some solid mattes in there. You got some warmer tones, you got some like purpley tones. These two are pretty similar, as you're going to see here in a minute. There are a couple that feel very similar, like these 3 shades here all seem kind of similar, but yeah, that's what they look like on like swatch. You can't see that first one that's in the middle, that it's so light. So I think somebody could get good use out of this. They are a slightly drier formula, but they don't blend out to absolutely nothing. I don't know, they have a soft look to them, which was kind of nice. So I think it's a decent palette, but I would never recommend it because I love shimmer. I mean, I know highlighter is not like the du jour thing anymore, but you know what? du jour means shimmer, and that's what I'm doing. That was a very obscure movie reference, so if you understood what that was in reference to, let me know down below, because it's one of my all-time favorite movies, and I think it would be hilarious if people actually figured that out. Next up is kind of a cheat. It's a face and cheek palette, but I was looking for things to wear for FanX, and I ended up, this is one of the things I was wearing. When did I wear this? I wore this, I guess I wore this the first day. So if you've seen my pictures on Instagram, this is what I'm wearing when I met Zachary Levi, and when well, I haven't posted it, but I'm going to post a picture. It should be up by now, of Stacey Dash, meeting her as well. This is what I was wearing. Denona face and eye palette. This is the Love face palette, and in here we have 5 eyeshadows, a blush, and a highlight. So we'll flip this down. As you can see, probably, that shimmer that is in here is very chunky. It flakes everywhere. It's kind of it's a very messy shade. That's my biggest complaint with this. This is why this is only in 4th place instead of like 1st or 2nd place. You would think Natasha Denona would always be number 1, but it's not always number 1. Anyway, you know, I realized I've swatched everything but this one shade, so we're gonna swatch this one shade too. There was a little fallout with that one. Anyway, so you have a cream blush, and then the rest are all powders. The 4 eyeshadows are, or the 5 eyeshadows are here. So we have that hot pink, the blue, the purple, and then I did that light pink there at the bottom. Over here is the blush and the highlighter. The blush is not my favorite. That was the biggest sticking point of this. I said, very pretty. Blush was just okay. It wasn't my favorite. I struggled to get it on and to work well. And maybe that's because I put it over, you know, I had already set my face, or no, maybe I didn't. One time I did, and then one time I put powder on afterwards. It wasn't my favorite. It's not my favorite cream blush. I think it's a very pretty palette. I like the color scheme a lot. You got that kind of hot pink. I love the shimmer, even though it's a pain. And the patootie, but I think it's a pretty shade range. And of course, like, I really like Natasha's matte formula as well. So I think it was a pretty good one. And if you like the colors, I would say get it. If you're like, I don't know, and I don't think I'd ever use the blush, and if the blush is the only sticking point, use the rest of it. I think it was pretty, and even like that highlighter was very nice, and I don't think it was too dark for my skin tone, so that made me happy as well. If you've been paying attention, that Natasha Denona is the first thing that I'm keeping. The first 8 that I talked about, all decluttered. Not keeping any of them, which is kind of crazy. Like, there was a couple that I was like, maybe, and then I was like, no, we're getting rid of them. Anyway, in 3rd place is this little guy from Chella. I got this in a an Ipsy. I was really surprised. It's just 4 shades, so you have like 1 matte and 3 shimmers. You got a darker shimmer, a lighter shimmer, and then that medium shimmer. This worked really well. It looked really pretty on. I was really surprised. Looking at it, I was like, it's okay. But this is one that I took, and see, I did wear this as well at FanX. So I wore this the day that I was wearing my jumpsuit. So I met, like, my picture with Jared Padalecki, and then my picture with Mark Paul Gosselaar. This is the eyeshadow palette I was wearing, just in case you want to see what it looked like in action. I don't know. Just, yeah. So that's what the 4 shades look like. They work really well. The matte is probably the most lackluster. It was pretty light, but that worked really well to do a crease shade. And then the other ones worked really nicely on the lid. And yeah, I'm happy with it. And I will definitely be keeping this one. So Chella, good job. All right, in 2nd place, I have another Natasha Denona. This one, I was trying to debate like when I was going to wear it. I ended up wearing it the day after FanX, so there's no pictures of me wearing it. But it is this Peak palette. This was a BoxyCharm exclusive, I think, and then they sold it in the drop shop and stuff. So you have 4 mattes and 1 shimmer. I have all but the lightest one here because, you know, this is not going to really show up. It was really nice. This one, I did double swatch this one down here because my hand was a little damp and it kind of like caught and then took all the pigment, but then it blended out. So let me do this one more time so you can kind of see how it goes really fast. That's what it looks like. So it's a nice palette. I love her mattes. This is a really nice shimmer. This is the type of shimmer that I really like from Natasha. I think this is a superior formula to whatever is in that Love face palette. So yes, this one is a nice one. I would recommend this one. I don't think you can probably get it because it was made for that, but all of these shades are supposed to be in other palettes already. So they're Aya, Jasper, Thorn, Amhara, and Shine. Just, I know there's people have done videos about it, but this one, yes, this was a really, really nice one, and I'm really happy that I have it, and definitely hanging onto this one for sure. We have come to first place. What on earth could first place be? We know Milani and LA Colors were right down at the bottom and in the middle. And then Natasha was second and fourth. And Chella came in third. This is probably maybe the most shocking upset of all time. I don't even know what this palette is called. I don't know what it's called. It came in a set and I was like, oh, let's pull that out. And I love this palette. This is from Tarte. I call it the Xmas Lights palette because it's Christmas lights. I don't know what it's called. It just says eyeshadow palette on the back. These shades are Tropics, Love Shack, Cosmo, Round Trip, Do Not Disturb, and Cabana. Tried to look it up. Couldn't find it. No idea what it was called. I think it was a Macy's set or someplace had a set. And I was like, oh, that's pretty. I think I'll get it. This is what it looks like. I put love it, very foiled, works well, just a good solid palette. So I'm going to do two of the mattes and then I'm going to do these two shimmers in the middle. I, in all honesty, have not used this shimmer right there just because that is not a shimmer shade that I'm really excited about. But the other shimmers I absolutely love. I'm still struggling through these Alice in Wonderland Wet n Wild wipes. I went through 5 of these for this these 12 palettes, and I'm going to go wash this off because I don't want to get out another one and make it 6 just to wipe off what's on the back of my hand. But that's how terrible they are. They're not good. Anyway, here we go. This is what they look like swatched. Can you see like that shimmer right there on the bottom? I absolutely love it. I was so impressed with this palette. I love the color story as well. Like this is just kind of like a warm moment, a little bit mauvey, maroony, just perfect. So yes, whatever this one is, this Tarte Xmas, and it does have like the kind of changes. Well, it was, I swear it was doing, there you go. Yeah. Anyway, this was my favorite palette, which is probably a shock to everyone. All right. Let me know if you tried any of these palettes. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down below. Don't forget to let me know if you know what movie I randomly like referenced in a way. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Thank you so much for stopping by, and I can't wait to talk to you next time.